Good morning. We'd like to direct everyone's attention to the playing of the Fanfare for the class of 2026, written by Professor of Music Ching Chu Hu.
Please be seated. So for those of us who got here a little bit early this morning, the music has been spectacular all morning. Can we just give them another round of applause? For all the extended family, who this may be your first time on campus, you are on a college campus that literally drips in the arts all day, every day. And we're one of the few colleges in the country where you can get conservatory quality training across the arts and still have the total college experience. I can feel my wife looking at me thinking, this is not an admissions event, this is a commencement ceremony, so get on with it. But we're both grateful and super proud of what we're doing in the arts. So just good morning. Good morning and welcome to the 185th Annual Commencement Ceremony at Denison University. To the great Denison class of 2026, congratulations. It has been an honor to share the Hill with you the last 4 years. Before I start my remarks, I just want to do a couple quick notes of gratitude. Can I get the class of 2026 to stand up and just turn around so you can face the audience? So now it's their turn. Can I ask the graduates to join me in applauding all of the parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, mentoring organizations, and others who made the education possible for you? And now, can we turn to your left, and can we just applaud all of the faculty and staff who show up every day? They are the best faculty and staff in higher education. Thank you. You can be seated. So, as is our tradition, I just want to start. We always start each ceremony by recognizing any peers who started with you and have unfortunately passed during your time at Denison. And I just want to recognize and remember Zoe Hines, who I know meant a lot to her friends and other members of the graduating class. So, over the last few years, I've used this occasion to offer some parting advice to seniors on how to use your Denison education to launch successfully into your lives and careers. It is an understatement to say you are graduating out into a rapidly changing world, a world being driven by AI, geopolitical shifts, and a range of other disruptors. As you navigate this moment, I would offer 5 pieces of advice. The first, use your liberal arts education to guide your everyday life. You worked hard to get this education, now use it. Be the critical thinkers and creative problem solvers who know how to use data and reason to understand problems and issues in their complexity, and to be the optimistic and forward-looking thinkers who can innovate and find paths forward, especially around problems that seem intractable but are not. Be the liberal arts graduates who know how to communicate effectively, especially to people who see the world differently from you. Our faculty, this faculty, taught you to weave words together so others can understand your points of view and so that you can listen and hear what others are saying. This allows you to be the bridge builders who can connect ideas and people in ways that propels organizations, companies, and communities forward. And be the liberal arts graduates who practice and role model intellectual humility. Liberal arts graduates understand that we might be wrong. Hence, we are lifelong learners who are always seeking out alternative views, facts, and experiences. The liberal arts teaches us to be skeptics about views, starting with our own. Second, remember that habits are much better predictors of life success than goals. Denison alumnus James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, has actually changed my views on education. Yes, skills matter, but habits matter just as much. James has helped me understand that in life, most of us do not rise to the level of our goals, but rather we tend to fall to the level of our habits. Develop good life habits to remain healthy, and develop important work habits like showing up on time, working hard, being ethical, leading with curiosity, perseverance, and maybe most importantly, humor. Here's the third, and it's just a deeply Denison thing. Develop healthy relationships and allow those relationships to anchor your life. If you get the relationships in your life right, everything else will fall into place. Develop relationships with people who bring out the best in you and shed the toxic people in your life. Denison is defined by relationships. And hopefully, one of the things you learned at Denison is what a healthy relationship does and does not look like. As part of this, nurture your Denison friendships so they can continue to shape your life. So here's a hint. Be the one who keeps your Denison crew connected and allow Denison friendships to anchor everything that comes to follows. Number 4, be present in the moment. Always, always, always focus your time and attention on enjoying the present moment, learning from that moment, and performing at the highest level in that moment towards whatever you are trying to achieve. Remember, the stories we choose to tell ourselves about what are happening are much more important than what's actually is happening. I'll repeat something that I said to you on your first night on campus in slightly different words. Don't tell yourself stories about failure. We all have our own failures in our post-college years, but rather, tell yourself stories about every moment being an opportunity to learn and grow so that you can architect the life you want for yourself. And here's the last, probably the most important in the short term. Careers only look linear backwards. Find a place to start and just take it one step at a time. The best first job you can ever get is the one that's actually available. I think every parent in the room can relate to that. Your first job is merely your first job. Find some place to start and take it from there. I don't generally announce this in front of a couple thousand people, but my first 3 jobs were an absolute disaster. But I learned from them, and my 4th job got me on a path that I never anticipated when I graduated from college, and it shaped my life. I've been doing it for 35 years. To do this well, lean into your Denison network. It's a great alumni network. Use it. Use the Knowlton Center. We are here for you every step of the way as you launch and make early career pivots. So those are my 5 pieces of advice. They're somewhat timeless, but I actually think they're more important in this historical moment than they were in the one that came before. I've been reading and thinking a lot about 2 topics that are shaping this historical moment. Both will require liberal arts skills, values, and habits for you to architect your life and for you to do that in ways that contributes to the world around you. The first is the rise of AI. I recently finished a super interesting book called Open to Work, How to Get Ahead in the Age of AI by Anurish Rawan and Ryan Rolinski that uses LinkedIn data to take a snapshot of how AI is reshaping the job market. Their conclusion, it's super simple. They didn't need 200 pages to say it. Their conclusion is basically embrace the liberal arts. To navigate an AI-disrupted job market, new college grads and young professionals need to be adaptable. And they need to focus on the human skills like creativity, curiosity, and face-to-face communication that AI can't replicate. As I read more, it's clear to me that we need a new generation that can use AI to solve problems and create things of value, but can also do that in ways that uses ethical reasoning and human-centered design. That is you. The world needs you. The other issue is what we call political polarization, but I actually don't think that's the right phrase. All the data we have suggests that Americans in particular are more similar in our views than we've been led to believe. But we're finding it increasingly hard to harness the power of differences of opinion, differences of life experiences, and differences of goals to create new ways of seeing and understanding the world around us. What we lack is civic fluency. We need more people who have the capacity and interest to navigate information critically, to engage in civic discourse, and to collaborate across difference to solve shared challenges. The experiment in most democracies, but in particular American democracy, is the work of citizens coming together in their communities to work with people they know, people they don't know, and most important, people they know, but who have different views and perspectives, to solve problems and create pathways for every member of the community to flourish in ways they both desire and deserve. So that's a little bit of a nod to our graduation speaker, Eboo Patel. Eboo is a friend, and he's been a longtime champion of everything that is right, exciting, and challenging about the American experiment in democracy. His starting place is that the American experiment needs to be thought of as a potluck dinner. Communities work best when everybody shows up in the public square with their own life experiences, views, and perspectives, and offers them as a gift to the common good to be shared and enjoyed. The difference makes the meal more interesting, more rewarding, and more meaningful. His second profound starting place is that cooperation across difference is the key for everybody to thrive. Curiosity, not fear and anger, is the foundational condition for human freedom and human flourishing. Eboo echoes the famous line by John Dewey, "Democracy has to be born anew in every generation, and education is its midwife." He has been one of the most insightful and powerful voices for how higher education can step up and into this space in this historical moment. When I listen to Eboo, I always hear a call for more liberal arts graduates who have the kinds of skills, values, and habits that you've learned on this campus from this faculty and from each other. We've given you, our graduates, the ability to do this hard work, and I'm excited to hear from Eboo today. So that's my advice. You get to be the architect of the life you want to live. Do so by using the Denison education you worked hard to receive. Develop good habits and nurture healthy relationships, starting with those you made at Denison. Be present in every moment and be performance-oriented. Find a job, and don't worry if it's not the perfect job. it won't be. And finally, stay curious, grateful, and positive. The key is curiosity. Be curious about everyone, everything, and everything in this moment. Be those people. It's a Denison tradition. So last year at this time, I reached out to Denison alumnus Steve Carell, and I just asked him for a closing remark, a closing piece of career advice or life advice for our graduates. I'm going to repeat what he said to me last year, and then I'm going to retire the remark. President Weinberg has asked me to give him a quote for the end of his speech. He asked for something thoughtful and wise. The best advice I can give you is this: don't listen to anything Adam Weinberg tells you. Except if he tells you this: kindness is underrated, decency is an antidote to hatred, and generosity of the heart will never go out of style. Steve is a Denison alum. So I want to end with a request to our graduates. Stay connected and committed to this college. Come back for your reunions. Put a Denison coffee mug on your desk at work, a bumper sticker on your car, and a Denison pennant on your refrigerator at home. You are great people, and we want the world to know you're Denisonians. Identify yourself so other members of the extended Denison community can do the same. It has been a privilege and an honor to share the Hill with you. Quite frankly, I'm proud to be the president of a college that has students like you. I'm now pleased to introduce Dr. Rick Hall, Vice President of Student Life, who will introduce the student speaker for the class of 2026.
It is our tradition at Denison that each year, a member of the graduating class addresses the audience during the commencement ceremony. The speaker is chosen through a competitive process by a committee of faculty, staff, and students. This year's speaker is a data analytics and sustainability and environmental studies double major and president's medalist from Dong Nai Province, Vietnam. Her academic work and research is focused on climate communication, clean energy, and soil carbon. Outside of the classroom, she has served as president of the Vietnamese Student Association, worked as a multilingual student consultant and student assistant in alumni and family engagement, and in her spare time, taught dance workout classes at the Hoagland Wellness Center. Will you please welcome to the podium this year's student commencement speaker, Nancy Tran.
Xin chào tất cả mọi người. Good morning, honored faculty, staff, family, and friends of the class of 2026. Before we talk about endings, I want to start from somewhere far away from Granville. In my sophomore year, I invited friends from Denison to go back to my home countries in Vietnam. For some of them, it was their first time out of the United States. We flew halfway around the world across oceans, time zones, and what I can only describe as excitement and fears. When we arrived, my family welcomed them, not as guests, but as kin. They learned to eat with chopsticks, to greet elders, and to walk on roads full of motorbikes. The culture differences, the surprises, and the discoveries that my friends experienced as they saw my home took me back to my very first moment arriving at the United States for college. One evening, as we sat outside listening to the sound of cicadas and motorbikes passing by, my friend told me one thing, simple yet unforgettable. I see you better now. That moment captures what Denison has meant to me, and I believe to all of us. Denison friendships are not only those formed in classrooms, labs, or club meetings, they are formed across real differences between athletes and artists, international and domestic students, between first generations and those whose family have walked these paths before, across languages, identity, faith, and ways of moving around the world. And they are formed when we're willing to carry on one another's world, when we welcome each other's cultures not as curiosities, but as homes. That spirit is not new here. From its earliest day, Denison has asked students to look outward, to engage difference seriously, and to understand education not as insulation from the world, but preparation for participation in it. That outward-facing commitment is also what defines a liberal arts education at its best. At Denison, we're not trained to memorize answers. We are trained to live inside the questions. We learn to sit with uncertainty, how to connect ideas across disciplines, how to argue and listen in ways that sharpened rather than close our minds. Many of us struggled, not because we're unprepared, but because real learning is uncomfortable and humbling. And in those moments, our professors did more than just teach. They pushed us when we resisted. They supported us when we doubted ourselves and reminded us that educational growth is rarely linear. And as I say these words, a name or maybe several names pops up in your minds, and that's exactly what makes Denison so special. What Denison gave us is a way to approach the world, and the world we're entering right now will test that approach. We're graduating into a future defined by paradox. Never before have we been so digitally connected, yet so fragmented. Innovation now moves faster than wisdom. Data travels instantly, while trust erodes slowly. We face overlapping crises: climate change, political polarizations, economic inequality. These challenges cannot be solved by technical expertise alone. They require judgment, ethics, imaginations, and above all, human connections. Denison prepared us for this moment precisely because it refused to give us simple answers. Our education trained us to ask better questions. Who benefits from progress? Who bears its cost? What does responsibility look like when our actions ripple across borders and generations? We learned that solutions must be grounded in reality, but guided by values. That innovation without accountability is incomplete, and idealism without pragmatism is unsustainable. As we move forward, we'll enter many spaces: boardrooms, classrooms, labs, and fields where efficiency is prized more than reflections. In those moments, our task is to carry the Denison habits with us, to pause when speed is rewarded, to listen when certainty is loud, to remember that knowledge is most powerful when it serves the people and the planet we share. The friendships we formed here across identities, disciplines, and continents are not incidental to that mission, they're practice. They taught us how to live with difference without fear, how to disagree without dehumanizing, and how to belong without erasing who we are. That is why a moment in my home country, Vietnam, matters just as much as any moment in Denison. Both remind me that education is ultimately relational. May we build futures that are innovative and grounded, ambitious and humane. May we stay connected to our communities and to the earth we call home. And may we carry the Denison spirit wherever we go. Congratulations, class of 2026. May we leave Denison not trying to be the smartest voice out there in the room, even though I know you all, but the ones willing to listen, to act, to take responsibility for the world we're stepping into. Thank you.
That was wise, thoughtful, insightful, beautiful. Next time a prospective student says to me, why should I come to Denison? I'm going to say, let me send you a video by Nancy Tran and what she had to say. Can we just give her one more round of applause? Now, let me introduce the co-governors of the senior class, Ashwin Krishmanurthy and Karishma Luthra, who will present the senior class gift.
Good morning, fellow members of the class of 2026. President Weinberg, esteemed faculty, administration, and beloved family and friends. We would like to take this moment to thank everyone who supported the Senior Class Gift Initiative this year. Will the members of the 2026 Senior Class Gift Committee please rise and be recognized by your hard work? We would also like to recognize the outstanding leadership given by Susanna Snell and Fiona Kogan, this year's co-chairs for the committee. Without you, none of this would have been possible. Now, can all those who made their senior class gift please stand, if you're able, to demonstrate our collective impact?
This year, our class gift was overwhelmingly dedicated towards Denison's annual fund, which offsets nearly 1/3 of the costs that tuition doesn't cover. Each of us sitting here today has benefited in some way from the support of the annual fund through academic excellence, nationally ranked career resources, scholarships, and student life programs. Our senior class gift is our collective thank you for all we have been given and for the future Denisonians. I am pleased to announce that the class of 2026 has given over $6,700 this year. 391 seniors, nearly 2/3 of the class, contributed, setting a new record for senior class giving at Denison. Our impact will go even further thanks to the generous support from Matt Harrington, a member of Denison's Board of Trustees and alum from the class of 1984. His generous offer to match gifts from the class of 2026 will double the impact of our contributions for the college. Throughout our time here, Ashwin and I have been extremely involved. Through student government, multiple campus organizations, and campus jobs, we sought to strengthen our community, and we were supported every step of the way by donations and support from alumni, parents, faculty, and students. Alongside each of you, we have shown up, aiming to leave Denison better than we found it. We will continue to bring the same dedication to our alumni experience as volunteers, donors, and mentors to the next generation of Denison students.
Through our contributions, we affirm the value of our education and ensure that others have access to the same opportunities we have enjoyed. Each gift, no matter the size, represents our commitment to paying forward the opportunities we've received. When we come back for our 5, 10, or even 50-year reunion, our impact will grow exponentially, and we cannot wait to see how our class Giving will transform the home we love so well. After all, we're not just leaving the hill. We're leaving a legacy. Thank you, and congratulations, class of 2026.
I also want to thank everybody who contributed to the class gift. Every single one of our graduates benefited from the generosity of alums who came before you. So thank you for starting the tradition of keeping that legacy moving forward. I just learned that Ashwin is a triplet, and I think he's got a bunch of siblings here today, so welcome to Denison. It is now my great pleasure to present to you the chair of the faculty, Rebecca Homan, professor of biology, who's going to recognize our retiring faculty members.
Each year at commencement, we pause to recognize the members of our faculty who are retiring or have retired over the past year. It is now my honor to recognize 7 members of the Denison faculty whose collective exemplary service to the college totals 192 years. Full descriptions of their backgrounds and accomplishments appear in your program. Their contributions to our community of learning will be deeply missed. Will you please stand to be recognized as I call your names? Kimberly Coplin, Physics, and current Provost, 33 years. Dr. Kim Coplin, alumna and President's Medalist of the class of 1985, returned to campus in 1993 as a faculty member in the Department of Physics and Astronomy. She later served as department chair before moving to the Provost's office in 2006 as Associate Provost, and she was appointed Provost in 2013. In her 33 years of service, Kim has built an incredible legacy as a mentor, teacher, colleague, and administrator. During her tenure as the Chief Academic Officer, the college has hired more than 2/3 of our current faculty. She's led a period of thoughtful evolution, championing academic innovation, faculty development, and initiatives that prepare students for successful lives after Denison, while maintaining a commitment to the core values of a liberal arts education. Thank you, Kim. Cheryl McFerrin, theater, 17 years. Dr. Cheryl McFerrin came to Denison in 2009 and has shaped Denison's theater program through a deep commitment to the practice of performance. As Jonathan R. Reynolds Distinguished Professor of Theater, she has supported generations of students in developing their craft through an approach to theater making rooted in presence, collaboration, and creative energy. McFerrin's dedicated ethos has extended across disciplines, co-developing courses such as Shakespeare by the Sword with English professor Peter Gwenbois, which brought students to Stratford, Ontario to experience live performance. Her time at Denison will be remembered for her mentorship, artistic rigor, and a deep belief in the power of creative exploration. For the many students and colleagues who've worked alongside her, those lessons will continue to resonate well beyond the stage. Thank you, Cheryl. Alan Miller, journalism, 27 years. Originally from Ohio, Alan Miller has a 38-year career at the Columbus Dispatch, culminating in the role of executive editor before joining our faculty full-time as a professor of practice. His relationship with Denison began in 1999 when he applied to teach an introductory journalism course while living in Granville and serving as state editor. What started as a single class quickly grew into a long-term teaching engagement as students responded enthusiastically to his practical, experience-driven approach. After joining us full-time in 2022, he played a pivotal role in the development of journalism as a full major. He has taught hands-on reporting and fostered a culture of credibility and accuracy, preparing the next generation of journalists to uphold the highest standards of ethical and community-centered reporting. Thank you, Alan. Four of our retiring faculty were unable to be here with us today. Paul Barrickman, English, 16 years. Gail Murphy, health, exercise, and sports studies, and former head coach for women's soccer, 29 years. Fred Porchadou, English, 33 years. And Carl Sandin, art history and visual culture, 37 years. Thank you again. Thank you again to all of our retiring faculty.
The faculty are the life's blood of a university, and we retire some of our greats today. We will miss you and thank you for all you've done for the college. I do want to make one comment. So Kim and I have been working together for 13 years. I'm not sure there's a longer president-provost partnership in higher ed right now than ours. And there's definitely nothing else in the profession like the relationship between a president and a provost. I feel fairly confident in saying that over the last 13 years, the only time I've gone more than 4 hours not talking or communicating with Kim was when we were sleeping. And even then, there were lots of communications throughout the night. So I just want to say it's been a remarkable honor to work with you. I want to thank you for loving this college so much, for serving it so well. Everybody here will miss you. The faculty will miss you, but nobody's going to miss you more than me. Thank you. So Denison has a long and proud tradition of taking time at commencement to honor people who have achieved at the highest distinction in their field, whose work has had broad impact in society, and who exemplify the ideals of the college. Today, we're privileged to honor Eboo Patel, civic leader, founder and president of Interfaith America, and advocate for building bridges across differences. Eboo is somebody I'm proud to call a friend and a mentor. He is one of the wisest minds when it comes to turning our differences into bridges for cooperation. Eboo cares deeply about human dignity, freedom, and flourishing. He is a master educator and social entrepreneur, public speaker, and just a wonderful human being. He has long been a friend of this college. I urge you to read about his many accomplishments and his work in the bio in the commencement program. I do want to make one comment about Eboo. I made this last night at our dinner. Eboo, in the world of higher ed, being a Rhodes Scholar is a big deal. In my previous world of kind of global international work, being a Ashoka Scholar is a big deal. I think Eboo may be the only person I know who was both a Rhodes Scholar and as a Ashoka Fellow. I am deeply grateful for his partnership with Denison, deeply proud to call him a friend, and really grateful he's here today. So at this time, I would like to invite Dr. Rebecca Homan to the lectern to present our honoree. Rebecca?
Mr. President, I am pleased to present Eboo Patel, candidate for the honorary degree Doctor of Humane Letters.
The trustees of Denison University, by virtue of the authority vested in them and upon recommendation of the faculty thereof, confer upon Eboo Patel, leader, speaker, author, valued civic voice, champion for healthy communities, educator, executive, mentor to public servants, an advocate for the power of partnership in the vital place of pluralism, a writer whose field notes for a diverse democracy have been read and taken to heart in some of the highest offices of our land, who has found sacred ground in unexpected locations, from the courtyards of Oxford and the lands of John Locke to the sidewalks and classrooms of Denison in this year of America 250, as a respected speaker on interfaith understanding, whose insights into how diversity in higher education take many forms, with stories to share and the willingness to listen to the tales of others, as a practitioner of the fine art of conversation, in person and on the page, where learning and leading across difference can open up new horizons, from our Denison hilltop to the landscapes across the world, as a builder of bridges for cooperation, a dismantler of barriers which divide and distract, for his efforts to bring people together in easy conversations or challenging dialogues, sincere disagreements or surprising consensus, through the simplicity of starting with one person talking to another, we present the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters honoris causa given in Granville in the state of Ohio this 16th day of May, 2026, being the 250th year of the Republic and of the University, the 195th, Eboo. By virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees and on the recommendation of the faculty, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Humane Letterist. Dr. Rebecca Homan and Dr. Emily Nemeth will invest you with the hood appropriate to your degree, and I present you this diploma. We told him it was not mandatory. So please join me in welcoming Eboo Patel as our keynote speaker.
I got one too. That is the most poetic introduction I've ever had. Thank you. No surprise that it came from President Adam Weinberg at Denison University. I appreciate it very much. So, let's travel through time. Put on your bell bottoms, stare dreamily into that lava lamp, turn up the volume on Paul Simon's Mrs. Robinson, and imagine you are graduating from college 60 years ago, in the mid-1960s. A revolutionary era that had different contours but presented similar questions to the ones you face today. Namely, how might you make your way, your mark, and your fortune, God willing, as my mother-in-law would say on that, in a time of global conflicts, political upheavals, and technological transformations. In Mike Nichols' film, the newly minted graduate Ben is cornered by middle-aged men in suits at cocktail parties and told, there is a future in plastics. They could just as easily have lectured him about processed foods. This was the era of TV dinners, instant mashed potatoes, frozen fish sticks. The future of American cuisine seemed destined to come out of a package. Ambitious college graduates were no doubt told to think about new products that could be heated more quickly than SpaghettiOs, or find a new preservative that could make those O's last longer, or devise a new marketing campaign that sold more cans to more people. The wave was cresting right in front of you. All you had to do was ride it. Alice Waters came of age in this era, eating meals out of a freezer, all the while nurturing this vague notion that there had to be a better way to engage in one of life's most fundamental pleasures, sharing food with family and friends. Like you, she was a student of the liberal arts. In fact, she majored in French cultural studies. Might not be the most direct route to Wall Street. It did mean she studied abroad in Paris. France transformed Alice Waters, particularly the difference in how people approached meals. Processed foods were not the norm in Paris. People went to the market to find the freshest produce available multiple times a day. They were happy to pay extra for the good bread. Most importantly, they savored their meals slowly, lingering for hours at a time with family and friends. One day, Alice Waters went to a restaurant in Brittany and ordered fish for lunch. Her waiter took the order, then went outside and caught a trout from the stream that ran alongside the restaurant. He showed Alice the fish while it was still flopping around in the pan. Then he cooked it with vegetables that he had picked from the garden. The experience opened Alice's eyes to new possibilities. At that time in the United States, there were virtually no grocery stores, no markets, no restaurants that supported a slow food way of life. So Alice Waters built them. She opened a restaurant called Chez Panisse, which served fresh food in a comfortable environment that encouraged conversation. Chez Panisse was the nation's first farm-to-table restaurant. It has a claim to be the most influential American eating establishment of the last 60 years. A whole galaxy of famous chefs got their start in its kitchen. When you see terms like organic or wholesome or fresh associated with your food, rather than quick or convenient, when you read the name of the farm that your meat or vegetables came from, that's the universe that Alice Waters built. Let me point out 3 things we can learn from the Alice Waters story. Number 1, you are not obligated to ride the wave that presents itself as inevitable. This is not a comment against Instagram or instant mashed potatoes or artificial intelligence. It is a comment about embracing human judgment. Your judgment. The judgment that gets cultivated by a liberal arts education of constant reading and thinking and discussing and opining and revising. It is the judgment that can look at a rising tide, whether it's processed food or gambling apps, and say, I think that wave is more likely to destroy cities than raise boats. Or simply, no thanks, I don't want to live that way. You may decide it's just fine for a robot to drive you from place A to place B, or to do your taxes, but that you want a sentient being to enjoy your meals with, and to lay their head on the pillow next to you in bed. It's the judgment that recognizes that you don't want to spend the second half of your life apologizing for what you did in the first half. Just remember, you spent a lot of time developing this judgment. Use it. You get to decide what matters. You get to decide how to organize your life around it. Thich Nhat Hanh tells the story of a rider on a horse galloping madly across a field. Someone yells, "Where are you going?" The guy says, "I don't know, ask the horse." You don't want to be that guy. 2, connect the social change you want to make with the life you want to live. Alice Waters wasn't motivated principally by anger at a system. She was inspired by her love for a way of living, how we eat and talk together. The great Jesuit philosopher John Courtney Murray had a word for that: civilization. Turns out that the simple things can be quite profound. David Brooks calls this the "some people find a better way to live and other people follow" approach to social change. It has been the North Star of my own life. The reason I started an interfaith organization is because I think religion is principally about being a better person, and I need to be a better person. So being around religion is good for me. 3, focus on the excellence that is the fruit of hard work. Be very skeptical of people who help you make excuses or encourage a sense of entitlement. Whenever you are faced with the choice of doing more things in a mediocre way or fewer things in an excellent way, choose excellence. When Alice Waters returned from France, her instinct was not to convince fast food joints to put better pickles on their burgers. It was to start a single restaurant that mastered a particular cuisine, the star that built the universe. There is no substitute for being good at what you do. I'm going to say that again. There is no substitute for being good at what you do. In Islam, there's a word for this, ihsan, sacred excellence, the highest spiritual state you can achieve. If you achieve excellence, if you are good at what you do, impact will follow. Sometimes in peculiar ways. As Brian Eno once said about the Velvet Underground, they weren't influential because they sold millions of albums. They were influential because the handful of people who bought their albums were so inspired that they started their own bands. The star that built the universe. Excellence finds its destiny in the service of others. My favorite example about this is, well, about food. In the final season of season 2 of The Bear, Sydney, the sous chef of the fine dining restaurant that is still to be built, notices that her friend Natalie is near collapse from exhaustion. She offers to make Natalie breakfast. The camera does close-ups on every exquisite detail of the process. The way the eggs are cracked and whisked. The way the pan is buttered just so. The manner that the cheese is spread evenly right down the middle. The chopping of the chives, the mixing of the juice, the smile when the food is delivered to an exhausted and grateful recipient, and then the eyes lighting up as the first bite is taken. That was the best part of my day, Sydney tells the chef owner of the restaurant, Carmi. Carmi nods knowingly. They have aspirations to build an establishment that will win a Michelin star. But the original inspiration wasn't about the honors or the recognition. It was about the commitment to the craft of cooking and the joy of taking care of others. It was the profound satisfaction when you make a perfect omelet, and an honest living from your craft, and a gift that brings joy to others. Listen, I don't tell you stories about Alice Waters or the Velvet Underground or the Bear because I'm a cook or a musician. In fact, I'm the last person you want making you an omelet or singing you a song. There's not a thing in the kitchen I haven't found a way to burn. I'm the leader of a nonprofit organization. I run programs. I do strategic plans. I write articles. I give speeches. I tell you these stories because when I watch chefs or musicians or any human being do their work with ihsan, sacred excellence, and direct it towards the elevation of other human beings, it inspires me to do my work better, to do my craft with ihsan, to be as useful as I can to the people around me. I direct the horse that I ride. I know the destination it's heading for. Humans inspiring other humans to elevate. Maybe the robots can do that, but I don't think so. And even if they could, I'm not sure I'd want them to. At least not in my life. There's something very human about making our own food and our own music and generating our own inspiration. It's the essence of our condition. It is what we were made for. It is what makes us precious to one another. It makes me think of the wisdom of the Roman philosopher Seneca. I will leave you with his words. While we live, while we are amongst human beings, we ought to cultivate our humanity. Thank you.
we give Eboo one more round of applause? So before I get a couple hundred emails this afternoon, yes, we will put that up online, and you can share the video with everybody you know who needs to hear that or will want to hear that. So it is now my great pleasure to call upon the Provost of the college, Dr. Kim Coplin, to preside over why we are here today. The presentation of candidates in the awarding of baccalaureate degrees is authorized by the Faculty of Denison University. Before Kim does this, we're going to do our thing, we're going to then read names. As we're reading names, there's going to be a lot of abstentias, more than normal. That is because this college has 5 athletic teams off playing in the NCAA tournament this week. So we wish them the best of luck as they chase the championship that our women's basketball team and men's swim and dive team already achieved this winter. We're proud of them as well.
Will the members of the class of 2026 please stand? Mr. President, I have the honor of presenting for their degrees the members of the Denison University class of 2026.
By virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of Denison University, and on the recommendation of the faculty, I affirm the conferral of each of you of your degrees upon receipt of your diploma with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities appertaining thereto. Congratulations. So you can be seated. So Provost Coplin will now read the names of the graduates of the great Denison class of 2026.
The class co-governors, Ashwin Krishmanurthy. Karishma Luthra, magna cum laude. The President's Medalists, Antonia Baylor, magna cum laude. Catherine Sue Corner, summa cum laude. Erica Elifson, summa cum laude. Brennan Kelly, summa cum laude. Kian Nicholas, summa cum laude. Kale Shaw, magna cum laude. Susanna Westfall Snell, class valedictorian, summa cum laude. Sarah Sullinger, summa cum laude. Ellie Song, magna cum laude. Trun Mai Trum, magna cum laude. Candidates receiving the Bachelor of Fine Arts degree, Mark Moore. Grace Vapp. Melody Wienert, class valedictorian, summa cum laude. Fatima Abbas. These are candidates receiving the Bachelor of Science degree. Akandelo Abayadekol. Fernanda Ensurez Deskins. Hamdan Ashfaq. Emma Bachman, summa cum laude. Zoe Elizabeth Baer. Sarah Barnes, cum laude. Eloise Betts, magna cum laude. Vidit Bandari. Kayla Kiara Bovell. Dea Brahimi, summa cum laude. Adelaide Branca. Emily Megan Brennan. Claire Campanelli. Koi Q Min Kao. Megan Carlson. Gracie Cates, summa cum laude. Jason Chen, magna cum laude. Emily Clutter, cum laude. Nicole Emily Cohen Saban Avisar. Gabriella Colley. Megan Amelia Conway. Noah Jacob Sear. Catherine Margaret Danaher, magna cum laude. Viola Day, summa cum laude. Oliver Shanley DeSerbo, cum laude. Tien Dung, magna cum laude. Jalal Elbatal, cum laude. Kyle Kendrick Eller. Sydney Ann Flores, cum laude. Nicholas Fogel. Aniket Gaba. Alexandra Gavrilova, cum laude. Ornab Ghosh, magna cum laude. Camilla Gibson. Elizabeth Ham, cum laude. Jane Audrey Hammond. Josie Jane Hanson, summa cum laude. Lucy Catherine Hardart, cum laude. Ian Edward Harrington, cum laude. Kai Heafy. Melanie Hernandez Orea. In absentia, Jonathan Heigl. Isabella Lee Hill. Clayton Keith Benj Israel. Arnav Abhijit Jagdanar. Henry Joniak, summa cum laude. Caitlin Ann Karenbauer. Colleen Carolyn Kearns. Oghop Kim, cum laude. Anna Katarina Klass. Philip Kutsoftes. Samantha Kozlowski, magna cum laude. Min Lei, valedictorian, summa cum laude. Anna Elizabeth Leach. Ha Young Lee, cum laude. Joyce Hyo-Wan Lee. Ya Young Lee, cum laude. Yais Lee, cum laude. Tong Liu. In absentia, Jiamin Liu. Mackenzie Elise Milbourne. Michaela Moore, summa cum laude. Isabella Adele Musto. Nikon Nicholas Namdar, magna cum laude. Louis An-Tian Hai Nguyen, summa cum laude. In absentia, Kong Nguyen. Mi He Nguyen, magna cum laude. Gwen Nan. Kwa Wen, cum laude. Nguyen No Tao Nguyen, summa cum laude. Yen T. Hai Nguyen, summa cum laude. Aaron Oberly. Caitlin Leah Panten. Ariana Paredes, magna cum laude. Kayla Patla. Dominic Pellick, cum laude. Maxon Elizabeth Perkins. Grace Petnich. Julia Petrie, magna cum laude. Ang Pham. Long Pham, magna cum laude. Han Nguyen T. Pham, magna cum laude. Anna Pineda. G. Sai Shri Prabhat, cum laude. Biana Q, cum laude. Jasmine Rafiq, cum laude. Arya Rao, summa cum laude. John Barkley Reith. Brendan Riblet, cum laude. Ricardo Edward Ricciardi. Summer Rogers, magna cum laude. Emilio Schwier. Tara Sefchuk. Disha Sharma, summa cum laude. Meredith Shepard, magna cum laude. Willow Shoemaker, cum laude. Ritike Strest, magna cum laude. Desiree Smith. Micah Elisa Snyder, summa cum laude. Brendan Stanley. Eric Sundgren, magna cum laude. William Walsh Simons. Cole Tatro. Kayla Tarani. Owen Tecklenburg. Drew Victoria Telking, summa cum laude. Sarita Toledo, cum laude. Lindsay Rose Urban, magna cum laude. Isaiah Vasquez, magna cum laude. George Wong, cum laude. Anna Lucinda Weed. In absentia, Fletcher Williams, cum laude. Ava Elizabeth Wood. Isabel Jean Woodard, summa cum laude. Yejin Young, magna cum laude. Hillary Ohaniwa Yebwa. Catherine Emily Yunk, magna cum laude. Daniel David Zabitsky, magna cum laude. Candidates receiving the Bachelor of Arts degree: Ola Sobersad Abdelhadi. Nicholas Aceta. Charles Joel Adams. Erin Barbara Adu. Aditi Agarwal. Hassan Ahmed. Preston Aikman. Andrew Henry Albert. Suzanne Rooney Alden. Soren Allen. Chanel Annalise Anderson, magna cum laude. Sally Chrisman Anderson. Samantha Toth Antonelli. Hymanot Asefa. Rose Nina Atiano. David Atlas. Deanna Avila Calleja. Safia Ba. Gabrielle Barber. Julia Barker. Sophia Ann Bartlett. Emma Josephine Baum. Ryan Beckerer. Phoebe Beckwith, summa cum laude. Sarah Riley Benedict, cum laude. Annalise Bentley, magna cum laude. Alexandra Bergman, cum laude. In absentia, Jacob Manuel Bernstein, summa cum laude. Mary Bashuk. Hannah Gary Best. Jeremiah Stephen Bean. Jessica Rose Bilsey, summa cum laude. Maximilian Clovis Bishop. Azalea Bito, cum laude. Eleanor Blount. Alexandra Bond. Max Kane Bonsteel. Anton James Boxler. Hayden Brashear, summa cum laude. Drew Brasky. Beatrice Braun Arnold. Helen Mary Breen, cum laude. Sam Brody. Carly Brosman. Delaney Susan Brown. Kirby Jameer Brown. Quinn Brown. Spencer Madison Brown, cum laude. Sydney Desiree Brown. Lila Burke. Kiara Maria Burson. Riley Elizabeth Burton, magna cum laude. Calvin Thomas Brzezinski, cum laude. Avery Butler, cum laude. Grace Catherine Cadam. Alexander Scott Carlton. In absentia, Sarah Carpenter. Nora Carter, cum laude. Leah Gia Cashin, summa cum laude. Nina Cassingal, summa cum laude. Michael Charles Cassidy. Caroline Cavalier. Lucy Catherine Kavanaugh. Donna Chang, summa cum laude. Caroline Charlotte Ray Chanel. Andreas Chapides. Caroline Shays. Lucas Cherish. Via Chobi. Daniel Chu. Livia May Cleary. Carter Klein. Vincent Alexander Cognetta. Fiona Elizabeth Coleman. Megan Condon. Alyssa Lucy Contreras, magna cum laude. Leah Joy Lynn Coplin. William Robert Creevy. Mason Cromwell. Ariadna Cruz. Javier Cruz Sandoval. Maya Elise Cousin, magna cum laude. Genevieve Winter Cyrus. Ava Alexandra Didio. Jack Phillips D. Talia Dursu. Pepper Burke DeTuro. Peter Devaprasad. Gwen Din. Okay. Do Huang Zhawi, magna cum laude. In absentia. Con Lam Do, class valedictorian, summa cum laude. Isabella Alexandra Dolan. In absentia, Max Ming Von Doling. Colin Pelins Dowling. Edward Dreyer. Alexis Dumont. Isabella Hayward Eaton. Paula Esmentivich. Hadia Almaragi. Maya Ellis. Naomi Ellis. Carrie Emmerman, magna cum laude. Joshua Brian Eppenauer, cum laude. Jalen Malik Epps. In absentia, Jamie Bryn Epstein. Peyton Elizabeth Marie Estep, magna cum laude. Zarius Eusebi. Alexander Michael Everett, cum laude. Ross Michael Falcon. Owen Connor Fallon. Sydney Rose Fang, magna cum laude. Phoebe Goff Ferguson, magna cum laude. Yahir Fernandez Alvarez, cum laude. David Russell Field. Mia Fischel, magna cum laude. In absentia, Max Thomas Fishbein. Patrick Fitzgerald. Jesse Flanagan. Catherine Ann Flanagan. Nora Rose Flanagan. Thomas Russell Flickinger. Wills Foreman. In absentia, Ethan Freitag. In absentia, Jean Ning Fu. Leif Gaikowski, magna cum laude. Jack Gasper. Will Goss, cum laude. Patrick Gavin. Zoe Arwin George. Anna Devora Gerhardt. Rachel Gilio. Annalise Christine Gill, magna cum laude. Elizabeth Glenatus, cum laude. Jacob Goldstein. In absentia, Madison Eve Goldstein, cum laude. Daniela Gomez Vargas, cum laude. Melissa Gomez. In absentia, Brianna Marie Gonzalez. Claire Olivia Gonzalez. Anna Rosalie Gooch, magna cum laude. Evan Kimball Goodge. Sarah Gray, valedictorian, summa cum laude. Ethan Green, magna cum laude. Owen Green. Quinn Francis Green. Morgan Grillick. Elliot Matthew Grenier, cum laude. Ariana Judith Griffiths. Anna Gabriela Giara. Wyatt Williams, magna cum laude. Natalie Gutierrez. Isabella Sarah Guzman. In absentia, Robert Christopher Hardy. Sadie Ann Habib. Emma Taylor Hall, magna cum laude. Liang Velma Hall. Jack Hallett. Taya C. Han, magna cum laude. Andrew Felix Hansen. Lane Gibson Harding. John Elliott Harpham, cum laude. Emily Page Harris, magna cum laude. Raymond Carl Hedden, Jr. Nicholas Walker Heath. Jack Helms, magna cum laude. Mia Hennon, cum laude. Ganith Hayrath. Juan Felipe Hernandez Garcia, cum laude. Gabriel Thomas Hess. Henry Jude Grafton Hayes. Amy Huang. In absentia, Thomas Zhuang Huang. Truk Huang, summa cum laude. Owen Dunbar Holder. Hao Nian Hong. Molly Hormel. Catherine Elizabeth Haupt. Olivia Catherine Howe. Grant Alden Hunter. Malcolm Xavier Hudson Como. Jeremy Pierce Hutton. In absentia, Nathan Wakan Hadikovich. Natalie Renee Isberg, summa cum laude. Asbal Iskakov. Rhea Islam. Carl Ifson. Gray Jackson. Leah Jackson. Garrett Spencer Jakunski. Landon James, cum laude. Luke Guevara Jeans.
Thank you for everything.
In absentia, Aiden Johnson, summa cum laude. Kian Matai Jennings. Elizabeth Marcella Jordan. Keisha Nora Christabella Joseph. Davidson Jump. Rumi Kong. Seth Harrison Kaplan, magna cum laude. Echo Elizabeth Catman, cum laude. Liam Kaz Nelson. In absentia, Andrew Kyle Keenan. Anna Mae Keller, summa cum laude. In absentia, Madison Sophia Kelly. Alice Schneider Kempf, summa cum laude. Catherine Noel Kennedy. In absentia, Tristan Rocco Kerr. Joseph Kesserich. Minjae Kim. Namu Lee Kim. Aiden King. Cameron Kist. Sola Seely Kitazato. Meredith Klinsing, summa cum laude. Fiona Ann Kogan, valedictorian, summa cum laude. Ryotaro Kajima, cum laude. Oliver Anthony Kovas. Zoe Tiger Lily Crashes, cum laude. Thomas Kresge. Nina Krishanovska. Charles Tyan Kukler. Ava Elizabeth Lacoselio. Caroline Rose LaPierre. Andrew Larimore. Christian Chase LaRiviere. Thomas Grant Larson. In absentia, Kuiper Lashetka. Farida Latif. Charles Valancourt LaValle. In absentia, Sydney Lavin. Zondi Lawson. Eliana Lisa Lazaro, summa cum laude. Duke Lay. Fan Ang Lee. Owen Leary. Hyunsa Lee, cum laude. In absentia, Robert Lee. Owen LaGrady, cum laude. Marshall Lehman. Jonah Liebholtz. Chloe Leonard. Matthew Hayden Leverett. Max Levine, magna cum laude. Brody Lewis in absentia. Finn Wetzel Lewis. In absentia, Tian Yu Lee. Beck Lyles. Eli Lashek. In absentia, Nancy Liu. Emily Catherine Lloyd, magna cum laude. Catherine Amay Locke. Julia Bowen Leffler, cum laude. Henry Davis Long. Jalen Long. Carlia Rose Lopez. Zijiang Lo. Charles Love. Richard Cameron Lovely. In absentia, John Muir Lovett. Tate Brooks Lucas. Grace Lukens, summa cum laude. Colin Luce. In absentia, Jake Lyon. Tobias Ginley McCachran. Madison Heffler Magruder. Michael Andrew McGuire. Lynn Mai, summa cum laude. Catherine Ann Manderlink, cum laude. Mason Marchinsky. Amanda Marine. Ellen Grace Martin, magna cum laude. In absentia, Mary Helen Martinson, cum laude. Nicole Alexandra Marzek. Jordan Renee Maurer, summa cum laude. Erin Olivia Mail, magna cum laude. Rory Margaret Maynard, summa cum laude. Cade McCallan, summa cum laude. Garrett Allen McClung. Andrew McCutcheon. Gabriello Giulio McDermott. William McFadden. Margaret Irene McGann. Cecilia Gress McGowan. Isaac McIntosh. Savannah McIntyre. Daniel James McKay. Estella McGittrick. Henry Daniel McLean. Reagan McMullen. Catherine Turner McNabb. Shelby Lorraine McNeil, summa cum laude. Golda Mell. Liam Mills Menden. Ya Ohima Mensa Asante. Charlotte Meyer. Lucy Tan Minnick, magna cum laude. Lucian Mobayed. Sophia Genevieve Monteleone, summa cum laude. Camden Moore, cum laude. William Jackson Moore. Isabella Marie Moriali, cum laude. Lucy Elizabeth Morris, summa cum laude. Sarah Motley, magna cum laude. Kendra Ayusibia Empari, cum laude. In absentia, Ellie Morgan Muldoon. Eleanor Rita Murphy, summa cum laude. Duke Man No, cum laude. Huang No. Bak Chi Win, cum laude. Duke Zui Nguyen, summa cum laude. Duke Nguyen. In absentia, Kwa Nguyen, magna cum laude. Lin Nguyen. Min Kwang Nguyen. Nak Lim M. Nguyen. In absentia, Wang Nguyen. Hank Nickel, magna cum laude. Molly Rose Noga, cum laude. Parker Richardson Nolan. Lucas Bradley Norton. In absentia, Cade Matthew Noack. Peyton Oda. John O'Keefe. Akira Olendeska, valedictorian, summa cum laude. Matias Oliveria. Monica Alvaro, cum laude. In absentia, Grayson O'Mara. Jack Ortman. Stephanie Padilla. In absentia, Ryan Paganellis. In absentia, Evelyn Ann Palmer. Gabriela Palmovska, magna cum laude. Joanna Maria Pasalaris, magna cum laude. James Jacob Robert Patterson. In absentia, Yelizaveta Pavleva, magna cum laude. Jagisha Pawa, magna cum laude. Anthony Payavalis. Philip Perry Pierce Pearson. William McAllen Peck. Charles Joseph Pellegrino, cum laude. Rosa Karina Perez. Mary Carrington Persinger. In absentia, Joel Pettit. Fan Finn. Benjamin Piggott. Tarun Piplani. Zachary Woodruff Pirazzolo. John Platt, magna cum laude. Donovan Powell. Austin Taylor Pugliese. In absentia, Liam George Pulford. Samuel Quinn. Anna Laura Batista, cum laude. Keaton Elizabeth Rahman, magna cum laude. Louis Bame Riegler, cum laude. Allison Elizabeth Reddy, magna cum laude. Josephine Grace Reed. In absentia, Connor Remley. In absentia, William Perry Reddig. Harper Royce. Evelyn Grace Rohde. Jack Richards. Thomas Ripley. Griffin Gannon Ritchie. Beck Robbins. Citatli Alejandra Rojas. Tate Corey Kolb Rosenberg. Sophia Sen Rosenberger. Anna Simone Rosenthal. Matthew Mickey Roth. Casper Stanley Rudolph Wroblewski. Carson Elias Rook, cum laude. Lillian Rose Ruiz. Matthew Russell. Sun Yun Ryu. Nicholas Saku. Luke Sakanich. In absentia, Nicholas Salerno. Ashley Salmon. Ayana Jamisha Marie Sanders. Trent Jonathan Sanders. In absentia, Utsav Subkota. Canyon Joshua Snyder. Ian Wright Schneider. Brennan Schwinn. Sophia Elaine Chame, summa cum laude. Eliza Scoggin, magna cum laude. Carter Seipel. Avery Sellers. In absentia, Velvet Rose Sellers. Brody Jacob Salmon, magna cum laude. Sup Myeon Gong. Michaela Hope Bookman Sershin, cum laude. Faizan Sharif. Henry Ward Shaw, cum laude. In absentia, Bridget Catherine Sheehy. Cole David Shigan Sanaski. Tanvi Shegankar. In absentia, Logan Shumway. Thomas Lind Siegenthaler. Kendall Lee Sierens, magna cum laude. Kishal Sigdel. Ryan Ezekiel Silalahi. Jirani Silva Nugadogade, magna cum laude. Una Chali Silverstein. Sabira Simon. Margaret Virginia Simpson. Sophie Smallhorn, cum laude. Joshua Song. Richard Carter Spain. L. Madison Spencer. Jason Olin Spino. Alexander Brian Stackhouse. Elizabeth Ashley Stark. In absentia, Jack Bassett Steele. Makato Steiner. Isabella Renee Stokes. Connor Dean Stout. Aprameya Sudarshan, magna cum laude. Mackenzie Anna Sullivan, magna cum laude. Avery Sund. Philip Supas, summa cum laude. In absentia, Brooke Louise Serbaugh. Carl Swallen. Cade Cyrus Sweckard, cum laude. Harmony Taylor, cum laude. Robin Taylor. Catherine Teets. Ethan Michael Texan. Justin Wright Walls Tharial, cum laude. Clara Telusma. Annabelle Mather Thomas. Colin Stanley Thomas, cum laude. Joshua Thomas, magna cum laude. Taylor Ann Celestine Thomas. Maya Imani Thompson. Isabella Toms, cum laude. Maya Naomi Thornton. Brooke Toigo. Caitlin Elise Tui. Samuel Toomey. In absentia, Lei Dong Tran. Min Ann Tran, magna cum laude. Mia Treboni Hogan. Christine Tra, cum laude. Ella Tummel. Sydney Elizabeth Turner. Brooke Grace Ulisny, summa cum laude. Sophia Valerio. Elijah Van Faro, magna cum laude. Rebecca Dorothy Van Martyr, cum laude. Alex Van Leven, magna cum laude. Constance Faith Vasquez. In absentia, Vincent Vasquez. Juliet Elizabeth Vieira. Tra Vo, cum laude. Vu Tuk Mai. Que Fung Vong, summa cum laude. Lillian Celia Walls, magna cum laude. In absentia, Jumin Wong. Lindsay Warwick. Benjamin Andrew Wedapole. Miles Joyan Weiskopf, cum laude. In absentia, Win C. Shaw, cum laude. Charles Whalen. George Weston Wharton, magna cum laude. Ann Porter Whitley, cum laude. Vivian Mora Willett. Jackson Douglas Williams, cum laude. Jack Engblom Wolf, magna cum laude. In absentia, Courtney Wolfington. In absentia, Indy Annagel Maggie Workman, cum laude. Gabrielle G. Yakes, summa cum laude. Logan Eunice Yater. Marcus Ying, cum laude. Ada Yoder, magna cum laude. Jin Seok Yoon, summa cum laude. Carly Renee Young, magna cum laude. Gunnar Fulton Young. Jack Urosic. Doran Evan Eustine. Sophia Amalia Zafiropoulos. Kiara Sarai Zamat. Dylan Zabares. In absentia, Zhang Gun. In absentia, Maggie Zhu. Jack Zimmerman. Jessica Zittel, magna cum laude. And Guzal Zakadova, cum laude.
Should we do it again? Can we give the class of 2026 one more round of applause? So, as is our tradition, we are going to close our commencement ceremony with the singing of the first verse of To Denison, our alma mater. So I am pleased to introduce a group of our talented new graduates who will sing it for us once, and then they'll lead us in singing it the second time. The words are in your program. And let me just end by saying to the class of 2026, thank you for being great Denisonians. Please stay connected to each other and to this great college. And to everybody in this room who supported them in their journey, thank you.
To Denison we raise our song, fair college on the hill, the name that sets our souls on fire and makes our senses thrill. To Denison, my Denison, in praise our voices swell. The scenes of happy college days, the home we love so well.
So please stand and join us in singing.
Ready? Count it in. 1, 2, 3. To Denison we raise our song, fair college on the hill, the name that sets our souls on fire and makes our senses thrill. To Denison, my Denison, in praise our voices swell. The scenes of happy college days, the home we love so well.
Wow, that was wonderful, and congratulations, graduates. Will everyone please be seated while the platform party and the faculty recess? After the recessional, the chair of the faculty, Dr. Rebecca Homan, will dismiss the graduates for the ceremonial turning of the tassels and the tossing of the mortarboards.
Will the members of the class of 2026 please stand? Class of 2026, please join together as a class in turning your tassels from the right to the left. You may now celebrate by tossing your mortarboards. Congratulations.